Tonight's show and topic of discussion do not necessarily reflect the opinion of Spaced Out Radio, SOR Media, or its hosts. Listener discretion is advised. Here at Spaced Out Radio, we are about to take you higher. Broadcasting from the Rocky Mountains of Colorado to you listening around the world. Welcome to Spaced Out Saturdays on Spaced Out Radio. You can follow Tessa on our Facebook page at Spaced Out Radio, on Twitter at TessaTNT, and you can subscribe to her YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio for our archives. Now broadcasting from our Mile High Radio Clubhouse on Spaced Out Saturdays with your host, Tessa Nicole Thomas.
Good evening, Spaced Out Radio. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a Rocky Mountain high. Get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners and settle down snugly at mile marker 419.9 in colorful Colorado. It is Saturday, April 27th, Sunday, April 28th for those of you on the East Coast and beyond. And this is Spaced Out Radio. I hope you guys had a rockin' week, an awesome day, and an even better evening. I am your host, TessaTNT, and I am live tonight broadcasting from beautiful Fylth, Colorado. We are 150,000 strong nightly on Spaced Out Radio Network, spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, Paranormal Radio, TalkStream Live, Deep Talk Radio, which you can find at deeptalkradio.com, as well as a plethora of stations throughout the United States and beyond that we are aired on. Don't forget to head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, where you can peruse the Spaced Out Radio store and read the encounter online dealing with everything strange, paranormal, and odd. So tonight I have a treat for all my guys and gals out there. Tonight we will be joined once again by Miss Megan Gehring, and I'm so excited to have her on. And I'm just going to read you her bio really quick. Megan was growing up in the Cascade foothills of Washington State, surrounded by rich history. Megan always felt different. As Megan blossomed into a teenager, she realized a natural draw to people and places. Through self-work, she realized she had traits of an empath. Megan served in the U.S. Marines briefly, and during that time discovered a paranormal investigation group. She learned valuable investigative techniques, gadgetry, but more importantly, client care. She has been an active investigator in the paranormal field since 2004. Recently, in 2018, Megan achieved astral travel capability and has continued to assist many people with paranormal issues, such as hauntings, paranormal attachments, and beyond. When she's not working on the paranormal, she is digging into conspiracies, which is where we're going to be digging this evening. Megan, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you back this evening.
Thank you, Tessa. I'm very excited to be here. And hello, SOR.
So, like I was saying, last time we talked about the paranormal, and we didn't even get to talk about everything we wanted to, but I wanted to kind of go into conspiracies this time. And you're saying you got all kinds of notes everywhere, and you kind of given me a heads up on a couple things that I wasn't aware of, which is why I love SOR so much, and what got me totally addicted to this station before I even started working for it was all the new things I was learning in the paranormal, strange, and beyond. Yep. How did you first find SOR?
Oh, man. Well, that was actually a face-to-face meet and greet with the captain himself. I ran into Dave Scott at the last year's, so 2018, Forceman Paranormal Paracon down in Skagit Valley, Washington. So,
and like meeting him in person is, I don't know, is kind of like totally different than him on the radio, right? You get that kind of more fun and open side, and he really blew my socks off when I met him. He was doing readings on people, and I was like, oh yeah, here we go. But he was very accurate, and these people, their minds were blown. My mind was blown. I was like, well, I totally didn't expect that. But it was really awesome meeting him and meeting a lot of SORians. What were your thoughts about the creator of SOR?
Oh, he was really enthusiastic, and I kind of had a separate job during the Paracon, so I was kind of, watching things, manning security, and basically I ended up walking over, introducing myself, and he loaded me up with a bunch of SOR, like magnets, a brochure, like come see us in Canada type, because he also runs the Haunted Museum, all for donation purposes. And so we had some information on that. And I immediately, I think the following day, actually started looking at the SOR page. And then I signed up for Spreaker, and I became pretty much a infrequent listener. So, but I love the topics. Dave is really enthusiastic. He's really got his heart in it. So, I mean, you could just tell he puts into the show more than most people would, or do, for that matter.
Yeah, it really is his baby. And I drove all the way from Colorado to San Francisco, California. Ended up not being able to get a room, sleeping in my car, and it was just basically a nightmare once I got to California. And I was like, man, why am I here? Like, this totally isn't worth it. But once I got to the conference, which was my very first conference I had ever gone to, it was totally worth it for me. And I was kind of like you. I was busy doing other things, and I didn't get to really partake in a lot of the conference speakers and such. But I was manning the booth for Dave and talking to people about different paranormal things, and it was really an awesome experience, when I did get off the booth and walk around, and even all the people I met that would come up to the booth that were kind of drawn to us. And I don't know, it was just really cool meeting everybody, because you get these different personas on the internet, and then you meet these people in real life, and it's just kind of, I don't know, mind-blowing to me.
True. So, yeah, I'm always like, oh, that's Radio Dave, because I do still maintain a personal relationship with him on a very professional level. So, I'm like, oh, that's so Radio Dave. But, real Dave isn't too far from Radio Dave. But, he just really does have a really unique enthusiasm for SOR. And I think that's also one of the elements that can hook in a listener, or even potential guests, because there's a lot of people who tune in that are like, I have some input on that. And I mean, hey, our chat room is awesome too.
Yeah, every time I do my Facebook Live to advertise for the show, I'm like, hey, if you guys don't have a Spreaker account, make sure you make one, because it takes less than a minute, and that'll get you into our chat room where a lot of amazing, like-minded people are hanging out, and we have so much fun. It's kind of like anything goes in there. It's really a fun place to hang out with like-minded people and learn something about each other and be able to share experiences and such. It's really fun. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the family here. It's really awesome.
Yes.
So, conspiracies, Miss Megan. Where would you like to start this evening on our list of different conspiracies we had going on here?
Let's see. I'm not sure. Do we just want to roll right into Wizard of Oz? Because, that's it's very light.
All right, let's start lightheartedly. Let's go there.
Yeah. It's a movie that mostly everybody has watched during their childhood. I mean, I grew up watching that thing at least, a handful of times a year. It was one of my most beloved movie ever growing up. It was like Wizard of Oz, and oh man, it was so awesome. And I remember the day we got it on VHS. We went to the store and bought it on VHS. It was like the coolest thing because we could watch it anytime. We didn't have to wait for it to come on cable. But so the Wonderful World of Wizard of Oz is based off of a book. that was written in the 1900 by Baum, B-A-U-M, and he was a kind of a religious character, a convert. He was Theosophist, and basically it is where all united religions. You still have the main goal of the religion and the pursuit of self-empowerment through these religious principles. So he wrote many children's books trying to explain how children can achieve enlightenment and self-betterment. And that was originally the purpose for The Wonderful World of Wizard of Oz, his novel. And in the book, the one glaring difference from the movie is Dorothy had silver shoes. And if anybody is familiar with astral travel, which is what I do, silver cords are what connect your body in the physical to your astral self.
Okay, I kind of lost your sound. Okay.
Okay,
we lost you for a minute. You started to talk about the silver cord, and then you cut out, and then it called you back. So could you start again at that point where you started with the silver cord, please?
Okay, silver cords, astral travel. Silver cords are what connect the physical body to the astral self. When you astrally travel, you have a silver cord between your physical body and your astral body while you're traveling. And so basically, the silver shoes in the novel was the representation for that silver cord, meaning astral travel, which is a higher level of enlightenment or ascension spiritually. So that was also changed in the movie.
Mm-hmm. They changed it from silver to red. Yeah. Exactly.
The ruby shoes. Oh my goodness, the ruby slippers. So, but in the book, they were originally silver, which was the representation of that silver astral cord. So I thought that was really interesting. But also the one other thing that is very different is in the book, Baum wrote it to be Dorothy's three companions were supposed to be representations of mind, body, and soul. And in the movie, it's actually employable. So by that, I mean the cowardly lion searching for his courage, was the heart of America, the courage of Americans. The Tin Man looking for a heart was industry. And the Scarecrow represented farmers who obviously needed a brain. So they personified those characters for the main employments of the time. So back in the 30s and 40s, you were either a farmer or you worked on an industrial level, or you had like a textile job that kept America going, and you had to, have a lot of courage to do those type of jobs. So that was the personification of those three characters represented in the movie, versus the book, which was supposed to be mind, body, and soul, or spirit. But I thought that was really interesting. And then Toto is supposed to be our inner voice in the book. So that was also very interesting. And then in the movie, they were actually going to kill Toto.
And he's supposed to be our what? Our inner voice?
Our inner voice, yeah. Our intuition, our inner voice. And that's why sometimes he would run off, like he chased the cat. And actually, okay, so when Dorothy went to get into the balloon with the now known wizard, fraudulent man, Toto chased the cat, and she had to jump out of the balloon and run after Toto. In the book, that was representation of Dorothy finding her true self and realizing she had power within. to achieve what she wanted. So,
Yeah.
but in
That's
the
awesome. I'm
movie,
just wrapping my mind around all this stuff. So don't mind me if I'm
know,
quiet for a
yeah.
second.
So yeah, Toto is totally our intuition, and when you watch it again, you'll kind of see, because Toto alerts her to many things before she discovers it. So, like, she was barking at Toto was barking at the scarecrow, and she was like, "Stop it!" Kind of thing, like trying to shoosh him away. And she's like, "Scarecrows don't talk, what are you?" And then it jumps out at her. And then she was like, "Oh my," kind of thing. And then she was alarmed. So our intuition already discovered the situation before our physical body had a reaction. So in the book, it's very well put together. And in the book, it's just really interesting to read. And it's a good read. It's very different from the movie. So I'd encourage anybody to read it, whether it's on, Amazon Kindle or physical book, type thing. It's really interesting. But yeah, in the movie, they were actually going to kill Toto or leave him behind when the balloon took off, but then they thought that was a little bit too traumatic. But satanic underlyings with Illuminati, MK Ultra, they actually wanted to show animal sacrifice or portray animal sacrifice in this movie, but they refrained from doing that. So, and that was one of the harder decisions, I guess, that they had to make.
Well, yeah, and there's so many different ways they could have done it with Toto or the Oreo monkeys or whatever. Cowardly Lion, even. Like, I don't know. He's a lion, yet he's kind of mannish. I don't know.
Yes. And no, the monkeys. Oh, my goodness. Okay, in the book, the monkeys are representation of our inner demons and our negative thoughts. Always after us kind of thing, and always doing bad bidding. And you have to fight them or run away from them or figure out a way to escape them. In the movie, they are a representation that we're always being watched.
Yeah, and they were very creepy. I mean, I think when I showed my kids The Wizard of Oz, the thing that creeped them out the most wasn't the witch. It was the Oreo monkeys. Really freaked them out.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And then when Dorothy falls asleep in the poppy field, poppies are the representation for opium, which is a downer. They were making that clear. And then Glinda the Good Witch woke her up with snow, which is a representation of cocaine, which is an upper.
Right.
So, yeah, and so there was an exhibit in the movie that was showing opium as a downer and cocaine as an upper. So, and MK Ultra has documented, I think, like 40 different reports before the official end of the MK Ultra project. There was 40 different documented reports of the mention of the Wizard of Oz movie. The Wizard of Oz movie was the first public stab at mass media MK Ultra effect. So, and then it rolled into Fantasia, Disney's musical, and then from there it went into Alice in Wonderland. So it was gradually replaced, but their first big airing of an MK Ultra type themed movie was definitely Wizard of Oz.
Do you think that they accomplished the mission that they were after by creating this movie? With the whole, basically outing MK Ultra and such?
So, no, MK Ultra came about further, almost 20 years later. The talk of it and everything was 20 years later, post-production. With the big thing that they were trying to get across, especially with the launch of Technicolor. Now, you have to remember, it was the first movie shown in Technicolor. And red was one of the colors that they hadn't yet perfected. So, being that the shoes, her ruby slippers, were amazing, it really sucked a lot of people in, and that's what they wanted. So what they were trying to do with that half black and white and then rolling into Technicolor type footage, they were trying to show that real life is mundane and boring. But yet your imagination world, or when you're high on drugs or, trying to get somewhere in life, there's always going to be obstacles. So just follow the path that you're on and, enjoy it a little bit with the opium and the cocaine, and you'll get to where you're going, because imagination is so much better than real life, is what they were trying to say in there. And there was an uptick in drugs. I mean, was that all because of Wizard of Oz? No. But it put it out there for the public to see.
So Robert was wondering, what was the reference to the witch dissolving in water?
Oh, actually, okay, so in the movie, let's see, the witches, okay, in the book, North and South were represented as the astral plane, because you have to look at it like a compass rose, to where North and South would actually be vertical. So North and South represent the astral plane. East and West represent the actual physical plane. And so whichever witch dissolved in the water would have been affecting either, the astral plane or the physical plane. The house dropped on the Wicked Witch of the West, sister, right? The Witch of the East. So they were literally smushing out a part of the physical realm of Dorothy's understanding in the movie. So.
Yeah, and I totally, and Julian was saying that too. Well, didn't the witch get smashed by the house? But you're right, it was the Wicked Witch of the East that was crushed by the house and killed. And then the Wicked Witch of the West that was dissolved in the water.
Yes, I'm melting. Yes, so she got dissolved in the water. So you were talking about the East to West meaning, which is the physical realm of understanding, not the astral realm, not the imaginary. So basically, by snuffing out the two physical witches, that is where imagination and this imaginary land is where they want us to go. Whether it's through distraction or self-absorption, like video games, or, some kind of immersive hobby, or astral, or drugs. Immerse yourself outside of reality is the whole message. Stay in this imaginary land to where you're not, being a protester, or, making it a mission to go spread the word about political indifferences, or, really protest the government type thing. So it's very interesting. If you go down the rabbit hole, there's a lot more to it. So it's just really interesting. But thank you for mentioning the witches, because yes, the East and West witches were the physical realm, so they were both destroyed.
Yeah, and that's thanks to our listeners. Julian had actually mentioned that, and I was confused for a minute, because I was like, I said it was both, but it actually wasn't. It was both of them in separate situations. So that was very cool that he brought that up. Because sometimes you need little triggers like that to bring up certain things, for me at least.
Yeah, I wouldn't have mentioned the witches.
Right, and somebody in here was saying that Dave's grandpa was the man behind the curtain. I'm trying to scroll back and see who said that, because that was pretty funny. Is there anything else as far as The Wizard of Oz goes, movie versus book that you had wanted to mention for our listeners?
Oh man. Let's see. Not really. I mean, the Yellow Brick Road actually itself. This is really interesting. So, you know how it starts as a really small spiral and then it spirals outward?
Mm-hmm.
So, in the book, that is actually very significant because that is your ever-evolving self. That is the representation. So, on a spiritual sense, yes, you do always want to level up. You always want to evolve yourself. So, in the book, that's a huge key point. In the movie, that almost lends to the gold standard. And actually what the government was trying to do, even back in the 30s, was they were starting to get away from the gold standard, which was huge. And I'll explain it, I guess, later, because this is a conspiracy show. So getting away from the gold standard was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And by starting to show gold as a road, a lot of Americans didn't understand it, but yes, there's a lot of monetary connotations within there, and you have to read really, really deep to get there. But I found it very interesting that whole thing was basically you're paving the roads with gold, yet you're traveling on them. You are walking away from the gold standard by getting to the Emerald City.
And Bougie was asking, isn't there some conspiracy theory that The Wizard of Oz was made to be played to Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon? I don't think it was made to be played to that, but it does fit pretty perfectly. I actually got to watch that for the first time this year, and it was awesome. I highly recommend it. Have you been able to see that?
I saw that, probably about 15, 20 years ago, right out of high school. And my cousin was like, hey, you know Wizard of Oz and like this CD match up, right? I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, you got to start it at playing, when you play the credits. I'm like, what? And so, yeah, we sat down, we watched it, and it was so crazy. So I don't think The Wizard of Oz was made to fit the music. I think that's reversed. I think the music was made to fit the movie.
That's an interesting perspective. I believe it was on Twitter where I found The Wizard of Oz set up to the Dark Side of the Moon, or was it The Wall? I'm sorry, the Dark Side of the Moon, and they actually put it together themselves, so you don't have to worry about starting it at a perfect time or whatnot. And it was
gotcha.
a very, very relaxing Sunday, to say the least. Watching one of my favorite, classics to some of my favorite music. It was pretty cool. And I'd heard over the years about this theory, but I'd never tried it. I guess I was too lazy or into other things. I always listened to Pink Floyd, but I never tried putting the two together. Yeah.
No, I find it very interesting that, the song Over the Rainbow was written for Wizard of Oz specifically. The song was played in the movie, and then there's a big deal about the rainbow in the book, not so much the movie. I think the song replaced the big deal about the rainbow, but rainbow, the prism of light, when you have all the prisms together, that is ascension, and it's very interesting because in the movie they used Over the Rainbow as the better place to be. And then Pink Floyd's CD cover actually has the prism with the rainbow light shining out of it.
Yeah, through the pyramid and such. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
My husband wants to get that tattoo. We both don't have any tattoos, and we're always talking about tattoos that we'd consider having. I just haven't found mine yet. But yeah, I totally, on my bucket list now is reading The Wizard of Oz, and having this little argument in my head or discovering these different things like you're saying, that they're actually trying to put out there for us, in a different fashion, not just right in your face, something to make you think about.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah, it was really interesting when I started looking into what MK Ultra is or was. Supposedly it is a dead government project. And there is two portions of MK Ultra. Now, they actually took individuals, usually military members, and they did experiments on them, as well as trying to broadcast this to the general public. So the MK Ultra version that broadcast to the general public would have been Wizard of Oz. So not the experimental, you are actually being hypnotized, they're making a Manchurian Candidate, you're under LSD or heroin influence type manipulation. Now, that was more military or government officials that they were doing that portion to. And children.
And it's funny, now Ron's asking, why are rainbows curved? I don't think that has anything to do with this topic. I'm like, why is the sky blue? Well, it's a refraction of color off of the dust particles in our atmosphere. I don't know.
Atmosphere.
Yeah, right.
It's the atmosphere. Yeah, I'm sorry. I won't be discussing flat Earth tonight.
Yes.
I can't. I can't. I'm sorry, Ron. I cannot do flat Earth tonight. I don't consider it a conspiracy theory. It's a theory. It's not a conspiracy theory.
Right.
So I'm going to stick with that.
Thank you. And next, moving right along. Oh. So I think we covered everything on the Wizard of Oz realm, right? Did we get everything out there that you wanted to, that you were thinking of with this?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, unless you want to go play-by-play with the movie. No, I'm good.
And Robin was asking, he has a question, Return to Oz that starred Fairuza Balk. Have you seen it?
I have watched portions of it, but never in its entirety. So, I apologize.
I thought it was interesting that on Supernatural they actually had The Wizard of Oz in there for one of the last seasons.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was kind of blown away. They had Dorothy in there, and then the Wicked Witch, and then Dorothy and Charlie went to kind of save the basically Oz, because there was a major war going on there between the Wicked Witch and her army and the people that live there. But it was pretty interesting that they brought that in. I was like, wow, I never thought of this as something supernatural, paranormal, but it kind of makes you think about different worlds and different realities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
Yeah, and I haven't seen what Robin was talking about either. I haven't taken the time. The remakes or second, thirds or whatever are never as good as the first one. So it's hard for me to get into those.
Yeah, I agree. No, I've watched portions of it, but not from start to finish to actually answer a question about it or lend my opinion. I do not believe that there was ever a Return to Oz novel ever produced, not by Baum anyway. I don't know if somebody thought it was so great they decided to elaborate on it or carry on the story, but to my knowledge, Baum never wrote a sequel.
Yeah, and it's kind of I don't know. To me, it's kind of weird when people try to pick up and continue on somebody's legacy of books or different things like that, and it's just different because it's not the same. It's not the same person, and oh, my stand's trying to fall again. I don't know. It's just kind of hard for me to get into it. Kind of that loyalty thing, and it's not the same person, and sometimes you have that interest of what are they going to do with it, where's it going to go, but then at the same time, it's like, I don't know if I want to go there. Why don't you write your own book series?
Yeah.
We all have our heroes. And I could see somebody wanting to help with that, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was going to say, could you imagine if halfway through Game of Thrones, HBO took over?
Right. Or Disney. No, just kidding.
Yeah, right? No, it's taken forever, but I don't know. They're just letting George R.R. Martin do his thing.
Oh, there's something about that, too. It was on... Man, I watch all these different series. I download stuff when I go to work and either listen to or watch it. And a zombie... Not Zombieland. Holy shnikes, I can't believe I can't remember it. It's the one with... Oh, never mind. I have not slept enough to even remember that. Or maybe I slept too much in between working and now. It's a more comedic, zombie show series. And they actually... they captured the writer of Game of Thrones as a zombie because that's when the outbreak happened, was at some sort of conference. And so he's got this collection of, famous or different zombies, and the writer of the Game of Thrones is on there. And and he's still a zombie, but he's got that muscle memory from signing so many books, autographing so many books. He throws a book down in front of him, and he still autographs it, and he's like, can you imagine if society comes back, how much these will be worth? I'm just like, oh, yeah, he really went there.
Oh, no. Oh, man. Yeah, I wish I had more time to watch more current TV. I don't know. I haven't watched, a real movie in a while. Which is kind of embarrassing, but, I've got other things to do, like Astral, and read about government projects that, occurred in the 1940s.
I know, there's so much stuff out there. And I was talking to my daughter about that earlier. I was like, there's so much stuff out here, because she started to name off a few. And I'm like, man, sissy, there's so much stuff out here we don't even know about, The government is hiding from us, and, I'm sure they have their reasons, just like parents hide things from their kids, but it still never ceases to piss me off.
Yeah. Oh, fun fact, Wizard of Oz was actually...
And we lost her again. Oh no. Calling her back.
Type of project.
Okay,
and
pause. Okay, you said, fun fact, Wizard of Oz is, and then it cut you off again.
Really? Again? Oh, see, I wasn't supposed to say it.
You better say it now.
I know. Wow. Okay, so fun fact, Wizard of Oz is actually listed as a movie for MK Ultra under Project Artichoke.
And I'm not aware of that project. What is Project Artichoke?
I know. It's an MK Ultra project that was designed back in 32. So, or 22. Really old government project. It's just called Project Artichoke, and it's a one-page memo, but it calls out Wizard of Oz. But in relation to MK Ultra. So, really, we have a Project Artichoke? Yes, ladies and gents, we do.
I wonder if it's as good as it sounds. I'm just kidding.
I know. Artichoke dip.
Now I'm hungry.
I know. Yeah, no, there's hundreds and thousands of projects. I don't know all the projects. I wish I did. That would be impressive.
That would be truly impressive. How could you, though, unless you are privy to such things? And if you are, you're not going to say anything.
Right.
Due to certain things you have to sign, and until you're on your deathbed, a lot of people don't even talk about it. But speaking of government and weird government things going on, can you fill us in on some that you know of, not only in the past but in our more recent present times?
Oh. Well, so there is a little bit of a conflict of interest because I actually held a position in the Marines where I was a classified materials handler. So, I mean, like, current stuff? No. But older current-ish stuff? Yeah, maybe. Do we want to go into military ops? Because, I mean, I don't know. That kind of... Because, I mean, the people are still out there. That's the thing.
Yeah. Do you think that if you talked about it, that they'd get flack for it, or it would come back on you?
Oh, it would totally come back on me. Come back on me. Yeah, because it's in my service record that I was a materials handler. So, yeah, how about we skirt around that one? How much time before break? Okay. I think I could fill 15 minutes. Have you heard of, let's see, Project Bluebeam?
Yes.
Okay. And the movie is involved with that, being that we are kind of still in the movie realm.
I don't think that I've seen the movie for Project Bluebeam. I did get into the series for Project Blue Book, and that was pretty cool. But no, I haven't seen a movie on that. Can you fill us in?
Okay. Well, Blue Beam is not a movie yet, anyway, but Blue Beam was put out as a memo from NASA to the White House in 1981. Okay, and in 1981, they actually had a list of movies that they were requesting Hollywood make, and Jurassic Park was on that list.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Who would have thought it?
Yeah, isn't that cool? I mean, in 1981, they were saying Jurassic Park should be produced, and basically it was to introduce people to a technology that we now know currently as CRISPR. So CRISPR is the DNA genome isolation and manipulation technique that they are utilizing. So you can pull a single strand from DNA and manipulate it and basically genetically modify things in totality. And I just read an article the other day that they're actually going to start doing this CRISPR technology on chickens to try to make them into raptor dinosaurs again.
Oh, yay. That's exactly what we need.
Yeah, but hey, Jurassic Park! So,
right.
Project Bluebeam was put out there initially to get people desensitized to the idea that genetic manipulation can create things and bring them back from a historical, basically bring them back from the dead and make crazy dinosaurs.
Well,
so,
it's funny.
And now that's what they really want to do.
Yeah, it's funny because out in this area, we actually have sightings in the Four Corners area and other places of dinosaurs. Here we have sightings of little tiny versions of T-Rex, maybe like baby size or whatever. They're seeing those. We've also had pterodactyls seen here. Also, in the eastern United States, I mean, there's different dinosaurs in different areas, but we have several that have been seen here. And a lady in, I believe it was Dove Creek, Colorado, which if anybody wants to buy there's 3 lots for sale for $8,000. I just saw it today. Little tiny little baby looking T-Rex along her driveway, no taller than the tall grass along her driveway, and I'm just like, holy shnikes. I mean, it could be her kid's toy or something she put out there, but it looked like, it was kind of blurry, the little thing moving, and everything else was clear, so it could have been a dinosaur. It's hard to say unless you actually see it with your own eyes. But I mean, even the Mayans were depicting Stegosaurus on their pyramids. They were depicting things that they saw in their everyday lives. So it could be possible that some things did survive the Ice Age and the asteroid and whatnot.
Wow. I mean, I'm just trying to think. When I was stationed down in Arizona, I mean, I saw a really messed up roadrunner.
Oh yeah,
that kind of looked like a dinosaur. Yeah, it was like, I don't know if it was attacked by a coyote and all the feathers on the back got ripped out, but it looked like it had a naked body, but the head and the tail were all feathered. It looked hilarious, but I even joked. I was like, "Oh, look, a baby dinosaur!" But oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to research some of that. That's really interesting, Tessa.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it was interesting to me. Like, I was looking up different things to talk to people about on the show, and I found that, and that was almost a year ago, and I was like, holy shnikes, are you serious? Like, there's so many things in my area that I was not aware of. But you do hear stories here and there. But for them to go and try to genetically bring something back or genetically modify chickens into dinosaurs, or, they're even talking about bringing back these different dinosaurs and different critters like that by doing genetics, because they find these different strands, and they're, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should, is my thought on that. I don't know.
Well, I watched the end of Jurassic Park, and the dinosaur ate people, and then it got on a boat, and I'm like, nothing good came of that movie.
Yeah.
Nothing good.
Not a happy ending whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, so, no, aside from the genetic testing, Project Blue Beam in 1981 actually dictated a handful of movies and basically stated the reasoning behind each one of the movies being produced or series. Independence Day was on there, Jurassic Park was on there, and then something called A Night of the Thousand Stars. And that was going to be the last movie that was requested to come out before a huge holographic MK Ultra type manipulation would be set up and put into place to basically dupe Americans. And this holographic incident is going to be viral worldwide. But it's something to the effect of an alien ship hovering over the White House. But this movie, A Night of the Thousand Stars, or Night of a Thousand Stars, is actually being filmed or casted right now, which I found interesting.
Yeah. Kind of makes you want to try out to be an extra or whatever, just so you can keep an eye on things.
Right? What's going on behind the scenes?
Inch high, private eye.
Yeah, so no, that one is actually set to be filming shortly, and I was just blown away when I discovered that too, because it was called out in a document from 1981. So, I don't know, that's some food for thought.
Yeah, it's interesting how Jeep in Periscope said, lots of people for food. We are everywhere. We could feed the dinosaurs. This is not going to be a problem whatsoever. But yeah, for them to be able to have the forethought or to be able to, I don't know, if plan or know that these movies were going to happen or plan these movies for a specific reason, kind of to desensitize us. Do you think that's why they are coming out with these movies? What are your thoughts on why they're doing this?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely it. is to either condition us to a normalcy presented in a movie, or to open our mind to a possibility, like such as the Matrix series or trilogy. That was to open up our mind. Okay, there are informational movies. Doctor Strange is an informational movie. It is something like, if I watched that, I could go, oh, hey, I've done that, and that, all in astral, kind of thing. But The Matrix, that's an informational movie. Something like Jurassic Park, that was an informational movie, but also it's to familiarize yourself with the possibility. So, and also desensitize you to if it should ever happen, which there was an article posted not even a month ago about they wanted to use CRISPR technology to start manipulating chickens. So I read that, and I just started laughing because I'm aware of, I guess, the whole blue beam and the reason for Jurassic Park. But definitely, desensitization is number one. You see it enough, and that's also like violence in video games and movies. You see it enough, it's not upsetting. And I don't know, I told my child that, 200 years ago, people died in the street and people just walked by for days. Like, death is not a new thing. We saw it every day, and then we started protecting ourselves. And now, like right now, if there was somehow a dead body in my yard, I would actually have to call authorities and have them deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'd make a very good scarecrow. It might attract the crows, actually. But
200 years ago, if somebody just, was thirsty, wallered in my yard and died of dehydration, I'd give them a proper burial, say nothing to no one kind of thing. But now if somebody were to end up dead in my yard, we have rules and regulations about it, So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it was a normal thing, and then we made it so secretive and taboo and hush-hush, and only certain people can deal with bodies, and now we're flooding the news with it, we're flooding video games, there's songs about murder, so it's like, there we go again with the desensitization. So...
Yeah, and that makes me think about other things that I want to bring up, as far as, like, we're being flooded with zombies and paranormal and other things. But first I want to get to Dell's question in the SOR chat room, and he is asking, you've told us what individual parts of the story mean. Can you tell us the story in the metaphorical sense as far as The Wizard of Oz?
Metaphorical. Okay, so the movie... I thought I already... Okay, so the movie of Wizard of Oz basically was trying to show that real life is boring, and that this imaginative land is where all the excitement is, and however you can get to this imaginative land, you should go. Whether it was through, spiritual exploration, astral, or drugs, which opium and cocaine were both called out and portrayed in the movie. So that is basically what they were portraying in the movie. And then also the sense with the Emerald City, everything is provided for you. Now, I can talk about government sustainability with Agenda 21. So that is the main goal. They wanted, the Emerald City, everything was provided for you. People were waiting on you hand and foot. That's how it should be, kind of thing. So, and then also the movie was portraying that the Wizard of Oz, this great figurehead, was a fraud. So that kind of dampened beliefs. So that would be the movie line. The book was very spiritual based, and the whole point of the book was to find the power within yourself so you can ascend spiritually and, ethereally, and achieve knowing where you are spiritually, if that makes sense. So basically, ascend, continually work upon yourself spiritually is all the book was saying, and find the power within. So that was book versus movie in the metaphorical sense, I believe.
That's a good answer. Hopefully that answers the question for Dale. But yeah, like you're talking about desensitizing, and even, they're doing it to our kids, even in cartoons and different things that you should feel safe with your kids watching, but then you walk in and you're like, what the hell are you watching? Like, this is not cool. Yeah. I don't want you watching this. And they sneak it in there, and you think your kids are protected and they're looking out for the best interest of your kids, but they're really not. They have their own agenda, and it's very important to keep an eye on all things and let the kids know what's okay and what's not. But geez, oh Pete, like there's so much stuff out there, and it's getting worse and worse every day, just like with the whole FCC thing. I'm hearing different cuss words on different shows that are not generally accepted for radio or even television, but now it's on primetime television, and not only do they play it during the live feed of, for example, Live PD, they're doing it in replays as well, and I'm like, well, has the FCC changed its guidelines on these certain words or certain things that are allowed? And I can't find any information on it, just the same old. So it's very, very confusing, to say the least, of what's going on, what is acceptable and what's not, because things are changing so much. But on that note, we have to go to our first break. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages.
Looking for nighttime adventure? Old school radio that delves into everything out of the norm? Then check us out at Spaced Out Radio. This is Dave Scott. Every Monday through Friday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, we're going to take you on a wild ride ranging from conspiracies to true crime and every ghost, alien, and Sasquatch story in between. We're always live, and we're always interactive with you. So join us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, we own the night.
Hey, guess what? You can now get your brand new Spaced Out Radio swag at spacedoutradio.com. We've brought the store back with all new items for you to pick out and pick up for yourself, your family, or friends. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, we got it all. All you have to do is head to our website and click on Store. Choose what you want and it's shipped to you. The Spaced Out Radio store is right there for you. Come shop with us at spacedoutradio.com. Then we can own the night together.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
If you're heading to Vancouver, make sure you stop by the official bar of Spaced Out Radio, the Moose Vancouver. It's the place to party in YVR. At the corner of Nelson and Granville, the Moose Vancouver is always up to speed with a kitchen staff that serves great food, all food on the menu, $6.95 to $8.95. There's a reason the Moose Vancouver is recognized as one of the hottest spots on the West Coast. Get your horns up for the Moose Vancouver. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You can follow Tessa on Twitter at TessaTNT, on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now, back to Spaced Out Weekend host, Tessa Nicole Thomas.
Hear the sound again, voices dancing in my head, smile wide, drowning slowly as the echoes rise.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show, and thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Tonight we are joined by Megan Gehring, and we are talking conspiracy theories and beyond. Megan, welcome back to the show. It's been awesome having you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So yeah, we left off on, so desensitizing our kids and such, and and Megan's like, that's messed up because my son came in right before the break and said the babysitter was asleep, and Lily's digging in the toy box, which is like a really big Rubbermaid container. Like you could put like maybe 3 bodies in there, and she's like, basically I went out there, she's almost to the bottom of it, but I told him, well, she'll probably find your big brother in there. You guys never met him, but he's pretty cool. And Megan's like, that is so messed up. And I'm like, hey, I'm just desensitizing my kids. If the government can do it, so can I. No. Yeah, but we just kind of like to have fun. Not only on the show, but at my house. Yeah, as Brian is supposedly watching my kids, the house is being redecorated as we speak.
Oh, no. Redecorated.
Yes, he's going to have fun with that tomorrow. Tell you what. So what do you think about all these zombie shows coming out? Like, when one is done, another's out there, and it seems like Netflix and Hulu and all these different people putting out these originals just can't get enough of the zombies. Do you think there's something to it? And the one that I was thinking of was called Z Nation. That's the one I just got done watching. Do you think perhaps there is something out there, like some sort of thing they're working on, or perhaps they're saying in Oregon, if a zombie outbreak ever did happen, naturally it would happen in Oregon because of the certain fungus that is found? Do you think it could be something to do with the government, or just our natural habitat, or they just enjoy zombies? What are your thoughts?
Well, zombies are and have been for a very, very long time. I mean, I'm talking 400 or 500 years. Very fascinating. And the legend of zombies actually originates with Haitians, and the Haitian slaves were brought to America, and basically they were told if they committed suicide, they would become zombie. But if they died a natural death, they would go back to their motherland. And that's the first written account of how a zombie is created. Fast forward to now, I find it very interesting because they're doing a research study on deer, and there's actually zombie-style deer right now. I mean, I don't know if they're legit zombies, but they sure do act like it. I'm talking like deer attacking other deer and like biting and taking bites out of deer. And
wow.
They don't know, because this is also the same area of Montana that they have tried this sterilization vaccine. So they don't know if the vaccine is causing this or if it is, like you said, a fungus, because these deer also feast upon lichen. And so if this lichen was tainted, maybe it caused this zombie-type behavior. But and this is a newer story. It's I think I read it in November. But yeah, there's like zombie deer running around right now, and they're trying to figure out why. But it's also the same herd that they've kind of done sterilization vaccines on, so they don't know if that's a side effect.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. It's been a crazy winter, to say the least, and it just does not want to end. And we have records going on with all the snowfall that this hasn't happened in forever. And they were already saying with as bad of a winter as we had, we'd have chronic wasting disease, and it's a contagious neurological disease that affects the deer, elk, and moose and causes spongy degeneration of the brains of infected animals, resulting in emaciation, abnormal behavior, loss of bodily functions, and death. And they actually found herds of elk and herds of deer, like all in one place. It looks like they were all eating off this nice grassy, threshy knoll, and all of a sudden they all just dropped dead all at the same time. It's like, what the hell is really happening? Is this chronic wasting disease because they were basically starving so much during the winter, now it's kind of catching up with them? Or is it something else? I mean, it seems like the government always has an answer for what's going on in our environment, whether we accept it or not. Thoughts?
Yeah, no. There has been a crazy amount of environmental testing. The earliest accounts I've actually found was like 1934. And then there's a couple projects that I can't even think of right now, but basically we have not only damaged our waters, our land, but also our ionosphere. Project Argus, we actually shot 3 nuclear warheads up into the upper level of our atmosphere to try to destroy the Van Allen belt so we could get to the moon.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah. So, because the Van Allen belt has a high amount of radiation, and they figured that they were sending all these animals up there and they were coming back dead. So it must be the radiation. They're not going to send a human, so why not nuke it? So Project Argus, we exploded 3 nuclear warheads in the Van Allen belt so we could get to the moon.
Yeah, they're like, it's already radiated, so this isn't going to hurt it, but you have that fallout. I mean, I don't care how high up it is or whatever, we're still going to have fallout from it. It's still going to affect us down here, even though it's way up there. Like, give me a break. And, we were told in the Marine Corps all the time, common sense is not, a flower that grows in everybody's garden. And it's one of the main things that we need to survive in this world is common sense. And there's so many people, it amazes me how many people do not have common sense. It's even people that are in charge of us. I'm like, are you serious? Like, you just did that.
Yeah. Yep. No, I love the stories out of Florida.
They're supposed to breed down there, it seems. And Tripp is my favorite one out of Florida. He's my fave. So tell me...
He claimed Georgia.
Oh,
he claimed Florida?
Yeah.
Mm.
He's in, I think, North Carolina or South Carolina or something like that right now. But he's originally, I believe, from Florida. But yeah, he's one of my faves.
I'm happy he escaped.
Yeah, because it does, like, we hear stories coming out of there all the time, right? Can you tell us where you were going with that? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, so no, I was just going to say there is a long-standing history of us really messing with the environment. So, and it goes way back further than I ever thought it did. I figured we maybe started in the 60s. No. This goes way back into the 30s. So with like nuclear technologies and radiation type devices and, animal experiments even. So for a whole herd of elk to just drop dead, was it something with the grass? Maybe. Was it something with them? Maybe. Honeybees are dying. Honeybees are dying because of 5G radiation. We do nothing good because it's all in the name of progress and science and technology, and we're really not being good stewards of the earth. And a lot of times, us normies who aren't in the government anymore, we are not privy to the ongoings. HAARP is a major government powerhouse that is really affecting us. 5G, that's another form of technology that is not affecting us right now, but once it's fully operational, it will. And it's already affecting animals, it's affecting trees. So, you got to look at the most sensitive things on this planet, the most sensitive and responsive. You pop a tree up by a 5G tower, that tree dies. Yet we're going to put them every 200 yards. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, and it's funny, they try to make these towers look like trees, and I'm like, when I first saw one, it was in the Phoenix area, and I'm like, what the frack is that? Like, what is that? And my sister's like, oh, that's a cell phone tower. They just try to make them look like trees, so it's less offensive to people. And I'm like, are you serious? Because that to me is offensive, Make it look like what it is. It's a freaking tower. Make it look like a tower. Don't try to make it look like some funky, like, genetically modified tree.
Yeah. No, it's funny. And I get a kick out of the ones that are like palm tree looking. But I don't know. They try and make it aesthetically pleasing so people won't complain. And I mean, once it is employed and people have these super awesome high speeds, I mean, will really anybody complain? I don't know. But there's a lot of health effects associated with them. There's some proven, there's some that are still being questioned. But it's a very high dose of radiation. And 4G is sufficient. It's just 5G is a high-fi operating system. So, and 4G is a lower broadband type operating system. They can work together independently, or, you know, I think we'll just have 5G take over.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, once they, you know, get it up and running the way it should, is anybody really going to complain? But you hear all these theories of different things that are going to happen that are detrimental to not only us, but our environment, that will be happening once the 5G does come out. And like you're saying, the death of the bees. I'm not sure if it's the 5G or if it's the different chemicals we're using on, you know, pesticides and such on our plants. But yeah. I mean, is the honey even safe? Like, if it is the pesticides, or is this actually 5G doing what it does? Supposedly it's not just going to have a bad effect on our bees. It's going to have a terrible effect on us.
Yes.
And there was a comment I'm supposed to be finding here. Nikki told me, but I'm looking and I'm not finding it. I'm seeing different things that he's put on here. But somebody was saying that Baum had written, and it was Nikki, wrote an entire series in The Wizard of Oz, and she has the entire series of books from him. So that's cool.
Okay.
Not only do I have one to read, I have a whole series of about 14, 15.
I think I'll have to read the entire series too. Okay. Thank you, Nikki.
And let's see. So what are some of the things that, while I'm looking for this question, some of the things that you've heard that are going to happen, supposedly, when 5G totally comes out?
Oh, 5G is nuts. Okay, so a lot of physical symptoms, headaches, dizziness, confusion, low energy, low vibrations. That's very important for anybody who does spiritual work. Low vibrations. When you are in an environment with low vibrations, you are more susceptible to attachments, negative entities, that type of spiritual stuff. And then on the physical sense, when you are subjected to radiation, your kidneys and liver take the brunt of it, as well as your brain. You can actually have increased heart rate, lowered breathing, and your blood pressure is going to spike because your body will feel stressed out for no reason. The other thing is you will have idiopathic type symptoms. You'll have all these symptoms, but really nothing wrong with you. The doctors won't find anything. And they call that idiopathic. So, because you have a symptom, but it doesn't match anything. That is what 5G will cause. Also, cancer rates have been increasing with the test sites. I think they have like 12 supposedly test sites that they tested 5G with. Cancer was one of the things that kept popping up, an increase in lymphomas. So there was that. And then, you know, with that, people are going to be angry because they can't think clearly. They're going to have a constant brain fog, as well as I have heard that the possibility of something called brown energy, and Tesla actually talked about this. Something called brown energy is where it can be backfed into a server box. Now, mind you, Tesla didn't have a server box, so he described it a little bit differently. But basically, you could backfeed on the line an entity of a government stature will backfeed into your line with this brown energy, and it can influence you. Now, that goes back to MK Ultra and this whole Manchurian candidate type thing. But subliminal messaging can be relayed through this brown energy concept. And what it is they are putting a message or a frequency in that brown energy, and they're pumping it into your house, and you're fully exposed to it. You're hearing it, you're feeling it, and also one thing that's going to be very evident is your body temperature is going to increase with 5G because of the amount of radiation. You are basically cooking your skin. The government got around this because they did not consider your skin as an organ. So that is the only way they were able to push this technology through.
And it's funny because everybody knows your epidermis is the largest organ of your body, basically.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yes. It is not an organ that will sustain damage. So yeah, they do not classify your skin as an organ in the patent for 5G energies.
That's insane.
So,
whatever they can do to get past it, and I've been reading and hearing things even on the news recently about the FDA and everything. Certain things they're getting away with, like with these chemicals that we put on our yards and our plants and everything. We only have to say this one bad thing about it, but all these other bad things we'll just leave in the background and we don't have to talk about it. Just this one. And it's all toxic. There's so many things that we're using in our everyday lives that are toxic because the FDA is like, oh, you just have to name off this one thing, but all these other bad things in there, you don't have to. Are you serious? Like, this is bad for us. This is killing us, but you're okay with it. Just like with our chicken. I saw on the news the other day something about the way they process our chicken because they pull the guts and everything out mechanically, and then they put our chicken in a bath, and it's just soaking up all this aka chicken crap, into our chicken. And it's okay because unless you can see the crap on your chicken, you can still consume it, even though it's soaked into the pores of the chicken. Really? Perhaps that's why we have to cook the chicken fully instead of, having it like our red meats and such. That's pretty disgusting. Right. And then right after seeing that, I was craving chicken. I'm like, that is so disgusting. Like, I should be the furthest away from chicken right now, but I really want chicken at this moment. What is wrong with me? I need sleep. So I ordered chicken that night, and I told my husband as I'm waiting for my food what I discovered about chicken. I'm like, I can't believe I just ordered that. We're so messed up as a society, but I mean, really, what the FDA and other people that are supposed to be taking care of us are accepting is not acceptable. And we really need a reboot on a lot of these things. Definitely. But I really don't think that's going to happen. I wish it would. Right? That'd take too much work. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the 5G, but I would just be happy with a decent internet connection. But also, I live way up in the foothills, and, I basically have dial-up. So, I don't think I need anything super crazy. But, yeah, 5G seems to be a warranted necessity. So they are pushing it. And, yes, they did put on there that your skin was not an organ. And, that just, when I came across that little tidbit, I just shook my head. I was like, what? It's your biggest organ. Like, but it is. And now they're saying it's not. So, because they said it, it must be true. And what we've known all these years must be fiction. We're just crazy and have lost our minds, and it's really not an organ, even though it's carrying our whole body within it. Oh, my God. It's the packaging. Right. Packaging. So I finally found John Hudson's question. I didn't see it because it was not in caps. So everybody out there in the chat rooms, whether you're SOR Space Travelers or in the Spreaker chat room for SOR Asylum, make sure you put your questions in caps so I don't miss them. But I finally found it right before Nikki said, hey, John has a question. And he's asking, Megan, how far into the future do your security agreements lock you in? 25 years? Oh, actually, okay. So depending on the classification, yes. Most are 25 years.
unless it is a top secret classification, then that is like until further notice. So the way that I would have to go about anything that is current is write and request a Freedom of Information Act. If I were to have paper in hand, that means it is deemed unclassified. And hey, I could talk about it. But I just got out of the military a handful of years ago, so the likelihood of anything post 9/11 being declassified is not likely.
No, and a lot of these things are like 80 to 60 years later, they're finally declassifying it to where people can actually read and partake of it, and a lot of it is blacked out. You can't even read it anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a big game, basically. To me, that's how I feel. It's just a big game, whether it's mind game or paper game or board game, whatever you want to call it. There's no way to really get ahead of it unless you're a part of it and you're really good at staying, under the radar. But there are things that come out. There are people that are trying to help, the flock, the majority of us, help us to survive and succeed, because what I learned when I was in the military is we're citizens. Everybody else who's not in the military are civilians. If anybody survives, it'll be the citizens. Does that include veterans? I don't think so. I think you have to be active military or able to be active military to be considered for such things if ish ever hits the fan. I think that's all they care about is kind of like survival for them, not for us as citizens, but for them as the hierarchies to preserve themselves. Because, look how they put us out there, and so many are dying, not only under the gun, but due to psychological and physical effects that they've received being out there in the field. And then the VFW, or basically the military hospitals, are not taking care of things. They're leaving people on standby for so many years until they over-medicate with certain prescription drugs or other means of getting out of the game because they just can't handle it anymore. If the military took care of us, or the government took care of us the way we took care of them and took care of our government and our people, then we'd be in a much better place. But once they're done with you, they're done with you. That's what I didn't like about being in the military, was being a piece of property, basically.
Yeah.
And then once they're done with you, they're done. And you can go your merry little way, and they could care less what happens to you after that. And that's a sad part of it.
Yes. Yep. So a senator from California actually declared veterans homegrown terrorists, just FYI.
Oh, God.
Yeah, because, we know things, and we've been trained to do things, and, we're the truthers. The large majority of veterans become truthers or conspiracy theorists because we understand. Oh, no, yeah, we understand on a certain level. I mean, I know I've seen things. Yeah, I would love to kind of call out and be a whistleblower on certain things, but oh my goodness, the repercussions. All it takes is one person to hear that, and then I'm in hot water. So, but really interesting stuff. And, the fact that I can't talk about it makes me want to talk about it. But, yeah, so, no, wonderful senator from California decided to call us out as homegrown terrorists, and basically every veteran should be on a watch list. So, Tessa, do you agree with that?
I agree that we know things, and certain people get brainwashed to a certain extent that they'd never say anything, but there are those of us that are stronger than that no matter what they tell us, what is going to be the backlash, so on and so forth, we don't care, because we care about the greater good. And, it makes me wonder, what are they going to do next? Are they just going to start killing military people off as they go out because they're worried about what they're going to say, or are they going to do some sort of, final brainwashing series? You know how you get your medical to get discharged, you have to go through and get this whole medical examination. Is that going to be part of it? Is basically wiping your mind of everything that you've learned, so you're not a threat anymore? What are they going to do?
Just like a little Men in Black, their little light wand that they pull up and click, click, and there you go.
Yeah, all you need is the special, cool wheel sunglasses or whatever to help you out. But yeah, I mean, the government is so shady, and it's not like, okay, even with the police force, to serve and protect, it's not for the greater good. They have their own agendas.
Yes.
I wish it was the way it was supposed to be, the way they say it is. And during Z Nation, they had this thing with Doc, and Doc is explaining the history of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all of this other stuff. There was a set example of things that were supposed to be, and it's so corrupted and so perverted. Like, you can't even look at it. It's not the same thing. It is totally corrupted and perverted, and they've made it into whatever they want it to be now. If only it was the way it was supposed to. But, I mean, that's just asking too much, I guess.
I guess. I mean, yes and no. More of a no.
And there's so many people, like you're saying, with the military. My grandpa was in the Air Force, and the Air Force, out of a lot of branches that have witnessed UFO activity, have witnessed the most, basically. And they're put under this severe stint of silence. Like, if you say anything, we're not only coming for you, we're coming for your family and your extended family, and so on and so forth. A lot of people go to the grave with it. My grandpa would sit there and tell us stories at night about all the things that he had witnessed. Have you heard about the Navy coming out with these new standards as far as how to report UFOs? Actually, you're not supposed to call them UFOs. You're supposed to call them something else. Have you heard of this?
Oh man, what are they calling them? Yeah, UPAs. Or UAPs. Unexplained Aerial Phenomena. Yeah. I have not. That's funny. My brother's currently in the Navy, so I have not heard the newest thing. I mean, I'm aware of stuff that they were doing around 2010. They've changed it since then?
Yes, just recently the Navy came out with new standards as far as reporting unidentified aerial phenomenon. You can't call them UFOs, this and this and that and that, and I guess there's so many sightings, they're making people report them a certain way. There's different standards for doing it, but yeah, it makes you, it basically clarifies to me there are actually things out there, which I know because I've gotten pictures of them. I and my family have seen them repeatedly here in Colorado, but they just deny. But for the military to come out and say, well, these are the standards that we want you to report these things, it's obvious that they're out there, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, interesting. So one of our best friends is a Marine Corps pilot, right? And I was joking with him, and I said, so on what page of your flight manual addresses UFOs? And he looked at me, he goes, the very last one. I was like, what? Like, no, wait, that's really in there? And yeah, he pulled out his flight manual from 2010. It was copyrighted from 2010. He flipped to the last page, and he kind of flashed it at me. He said, yes, we do have a procedure. And then he closed the book, and he said, but we're told never to use it. So that's coming from Marine Corps pilot. They have, because Marines are a division of the Navy, so I understood that Navy pilots had one, but to go across the whole Navy, the naval platform, that's actually impressive, that they are going to have a protocol for any type of unidentified phenomena in place for every service member. That's not just pilots. That's pretty cool. That's very forefront. But I'm sure they'll be told never to utilize it, just like one of my friends. Yeah, that, wow.
Well, yeah, there's so much backlash and other terrible things that can happen to a service member if they do come forward and say, hey, I saw this, even though you're being honest with your chain of command, so on and so forth. It's like they don't appreciate it. Like, I appreciate honesty. I hate it when people lie to me. Why aren't you going to just take this, put it into a book, and, guide them as to what to and what not to say, instead of, hey, you're going to go to the loony bin now, or you're discharged dishonorably, or, so many different things that could happen just because you witnessed something, and instead of keeping it to yourself, you're reporting it to your chain of command. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm like, all I can think about is Project Blue Book. I mean, yeah, they don't really want it reported, not within the service anyway. It's just easier to maintain, military mindset if you're not chasing down UFOs. That's not the intention of the military. However, have you, Linda Moulton Howe came out in February and started doing a whistleblower series on Earth Files. And she's posted on YouTube, and it's amazing with the information, the potential information that she's actually claiming. 3 military members have actually stepped forward as whistleblowers, and they are talking about UFO-type activities down in Antarctica.
Can you repeat that one more time? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to absorb it, but if I hear you say it one more time, that might help me out. I'm just like, holy shankies, what?
Right. So Linda Moulton Howe came out with a whistleblower series. She's got 3 prior military members that are all coming forward to claim operations with UFOs down in Antarctica.
Well, I could see that, and I've really been wanting to get her on my show because I really do look up to her, and she's very smart and really does look into things, and that's interesting. But at the same time, I could see them being able to have some sort of peaceful communication in such a place. Like here in the United States, we're so overly populated, and people, for the most part, to me, are ignorant. I'm not talking about our small group of listeners who are open-minded, but, the first thing people think is, let's get out the weapons and let's shoot at it, instead of trying to communicate. Fear kind of overrides the common sense, portion of thinking. Yes, be ready to protect yourself. A lot of times I've heard during these certain things that do happen that you don't have control over your body, so there's really no way to do that. And there's different stories of good and bad out there. But if you're trying to communicate with us and not just trying to overtake us, there's got to be some good in there, So that's interesting that Linda Moulton Howe is doing that.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting. One is a retired Marine, one is a retired Navy SEAL, one is a retired C-130 crew chief. And he was the one responsible for flying the C-130 down with cargo and occupants. So he's made several trips. The Marine and the SEAL both did special missions with an off-worlder or in a 62-acre facility that is underneath the ice. And they have full descriptions about it. She was explaining that her personal belief is that this structure could be 14 to 36 million years old, which is unheard of. That is not a number that we're used to hearing, but with the information that she's compiled, and she explains it, but she would estimate 14 million years old is the age of this structure. And she also theorized that they buried it in ice to hide it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would make complete sense. And our frame of time, as far as scientifically, so on and so forth, is really not factual. It's been proven over and over again that a lot of structures and a lot of bones and such, even human bones that we're finding, are millions of years older than they ever expected. We were never back in the millions of years ago stage, but now we are. They're doing certain carbon dating and such that are showing that we were here millions of years ago. And what we've learned, basically, might as well wipe your mind and relearn again, because we're finally discovering new and factual things. And science, is basically a principle of theory and hypothesis, so on and so forth. But to put things factually and say, oh, we were only here tens of thousands of years ago or thousands of years ago, we were here millions of years ago. There's tools that have been found that prove that. There's bones that have been found that prove that. And now you're saying, due to Linda Moulton Howe, there's structures now that have been found that are proving that.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing.
And I get the biggest kick out of this because everything originates, excuse me, from McMurdo Station, right? So you find the station on Google Maps. You can see it. And then you go a little bit to the east, a little bit southeast of McMurdo Station, and then all of a sudden there's a strip of ocean that is pixelated over the ice. So they've totally blocked out that area on Google Maps. I find it hilarious because it looks good until you zoom into where you should see the entrance. Mm-hmm. And it's a cut, copy, paste, pixelated view of a strip of ocean. And I just thought it was so funny because the picture's stitched together, so you can't even see it on Google Maps, of course. I mean, but I tried to look it up, and I had a good laugh. But I love when they hide things using,
And that's happened several times, even on the show. Hey, we found this entrance to where UFOs have been seen flying in and flying out. And then all of a sudden, it's pixelated. It's no longer there. Like, okay, so there's such a thing as Photoshop where you can make it look like nothing was ever there. When you pixelate something and you do a half-assed job on it, it's really not doing what you need it to do. It's just causing more questions. People to question you more than to say, oh, well, that never existed. That was just somebody, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs making up a certain theory. It's just pixelated. Of course, people are going to ask more questions and do more digging.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was hilarious. I was like, couldn't they get a better Photoshopper in here? I mean, this person took a chunk of ocean and put it on an ice cap. Like, no. But no, I got a big kick out of that because it is the worst Photoshop, and I'm like, oh, that's not obvious at all. But not to take away from what Linda Moulton Howe was trying to portray, but she's very excited about it. She has been working on this project for the last 5 to 6 years. And so this is like a culmination of all 3 of these prior military members coming together, and they each have their own stories, but then their stories kind of weave in and out of each other's with the timeline and everything. The Pope has been down to Antarctica. The couple senators have been down to Antarctica. And it's like, why? And Buzz Aldrin went down to, I believe it was Buzz Aldrin, went down to Antarctica. So very, very interesting. Why would those people of importance, public figures, need to go down to Antarctica, to a research facility? And so that's actually how I kind of started getting onto that. So,
well, yeah, and it's very interesting. And, people do have people that work below them, but it comes to a point where people can be bought off and you don't know who to trust. And so it's awesome that the new Pope, I really look up to him. I'm not Catholic or anything like that, but I really have seen a lot of things that this new Pope is doing that I really do agree with and I really do look up to, and I really trust this guy, and for him to go down there and look for himself really says a lot. There's so many trust issues. Like, basically you can't trust anybody anymore, it seems. And so people are going down there on their own to see it with their own eyes. That's the only way to know for certain if something is true and something isn't. So kudos to them for doing that. I really appreciate them going on their own, spending that time and money to go down there and see it for themselves, because you can't trust people's word really anymore. It's too easy to pay people off in a world that's driven by monetary value.
Yeah, and no, she's done a couple. I believe it's it might be a 4-part series now, but she was doing a complete series on it, and it was worth the watch. And I got a lot of information with it, and I still need to do my own research. But I just found it very interesting. So, because I don't know, nobody's down there except for like scientists and obviously military. But why would military need to be there? And also, it wasn't only focusing on Antarctica. These people also claimed that we had a moon base, a fully operational moon base. And I've heard of the moon base. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, they've done some really crappy photoshopping with that as well. I mean, there's pictures of it. There's people that have worked for these companies that have come out with the pictures and showed certain people. But they also have people on their team that go through and Photoshop everything. And not to the best extent, but they still have people there to do it. So you can't see what is actually going on there. And I've gotten lots of pictures of around the moon of different craft and such in and out or around the moon. Is pretty interesting to think of it as a base, but that's been said and actually confirmed by certain people, but you'll never really hear the government confirm it. John Hudson was saying, wait, anything TS or TS Psi, there's no expiration date? And that's going back to like your government thing. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say it goes in 20-year blocks. So, like, something just like a confidential memo from person to person, that's usually like a 10-year or until destroyed. Now, things get reviewed on a set schedule. Like, when I was a classified materials clerk, I would actually spend a good portion of my day reviewing file folders. And if anything was within a certain date range, I would put an inquiry into a system, a fully secured system, and if it pinged back to destroy it, I could shred it or burn it. So stuff like that really didn't matter, but top secret, it depends on the subject matter. It can be indefinitely, depending on the subject matter. Now, mind you, I was handling stuff from 9/11.
And it's funny because as soon as you said 9/11, you cut out again. And we'll hear it ringing back. Okay, so again, it's funny because I think somebody is listening. As soon as you said 9/11, it cut you off again. So could you start off where that ended for us? Are you still there, Megan? Oh, man.
If it was ever
Megan, okay.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
Yeah, as soon as you said 9/11 the first time, it cut you off, and then I still didn't hear anything from you after I told you that had happened. So can we try again and see what happens?
I'd be very surprised if it was ever released.
And what is that? Because you said 9/11 and then you went into something and we couldn't hear anything that you said.
Yeah, I was just saying that was the time frame I was working with the TSC, and I would be very surprised if that stuff was ever released. Generally, it goes in 20-year blocks. So we're talking 40 to 60 years before any type of top secret would ever be reviewed for public, the FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act's disclosure. So it goes by 20-year blocks. We're talking 40 to 60 years. So that's just FYI.
Wow,
and
that's
I
amazing.
think we should change the subject.
Yes, I think moving right along, Bushi was asking about the brown note, and he said the brown note is a hypothetical infrasonic frequency that would cause humans to lose control of their bowels due to resonance. Attempts to demonstrate the existence of a brown note using sound waves transmitted through air have failed. Have you heard anything about the brown note or have any education about such things?
I have watched South Park. South Park demonstrates the brown note wonderfully.
Yeah.
I was referring to brown energy, very different from the brown note. I have never experimented with the brown note, so Bushi, I apologize. But, if you want to study that and get back to us.
We'd be more than willing to listen. And one of our favorite questions from one of our listeners, Ad Gnome, he wants to know how many gnomes fit in your pocket.
6.
6 gnomes, Ad Gnome. And Nikki was saying, and in 5G, didn't they test it only for short periods of time, yet no long-term effects testing of 5G? It's funny how the government does testing. When the King mine here, the dam that they were holding all the toxic chemicals in broke, and it went into the Animas River that flows through our area, and it was kind of gold in color, but it wasn't gold. It was just like the toxicity of the different chemicals, and all these dead fish were washing up in native lands below in New Mexico and Arizona. They did testing a few days afterwards where they dipped the fish in, little baby fish, for about 10 minutes and then brought them back out or whatever. Oh, look, none of the fish died. It should be perfectly fine for people to swim in. And they had college kids and mules and everything swimming down the river. And I'm like, you are not going to see me touch this water with a 10-foot freaking pole. Like, no way am I going to listen to your government BS-ery, because I know what your thing is. You want us to feel safe and whatever here, when this water shouldn't be trusted for at least, another 30 to 50 years. People are immediately getting in there. I'm like, what kind of cancers and such are they going to come up with in the future? It's just kind of freaking crazy and ridiculous. I can't believe that they allow people to harm themselves that way.
Oh, man. Wow. Yes. 5G, to my knowledge, has not had any long-term. That's why they actually developed test cities. And so supposedly 12 major cities, Seattle is one of them, went 5G, full capability, and they're still in their testing phase. And from what I understand, it's kind of intermittent, on and off. It's not full-time 5G. But yeah, nobody's complaining yet. I'm very leery about it, and for good reason.
That's how I am about a lot of things. I'll let it go for at least 10, 15 years before I decide to partake in it, because they say, oh, we did all these studies and everything was okay. Well, I don't trust that. I'm going to wait to see what actually happens to people after using this before I decide to become a guinea pig.
Yeah, well, look at the baby powder recall.
Mm-hmm.
Women who used baby powder now have ovarian cancer. I remember at my grandma's house, she would have a powder box with a big poofy poof, poof, poof. And my cousin and I would always get in trouble because we would have the powder poof fight and, the poof in our face. And, oh, my goodness, are you kidding me? It causes a bunch of different cancers? Oh, wow. Kind of have to scratch my head. I'm sure my cousin's thinking the same thing, because we would fight all the time with that powder poof. And that's baby powder. We're not talking anything super bad.
Yeah, and they've used it on babies forever to change diapers and whatnot. But, I know women who continue to use it, and there's shower to shower and different things that women used in the Marine Corps, because when you're out in the field, you don't get to shower every day or even every week or every 2 weeks. Like, you have to have certain ways to keep yourself fresh in the field. And we've put ourselves out there with this talcum powder or whatnot. And like you said, it's been used since our grannies were around. Uterine cancer, what other things can come along with that? Because women, children, or whatever use it, you know, can males get the mouth or throat or other cancer? Can you get cancer? Like, when I would use it, I'd hold my breath when the powder was kind of floating around in the air, because I was afraid, can you get lung cancer or something from this? If it's going to cause cancer down there from using it,
yeah,
how can it not cause cancer in your mouth or your nose or your throat or your lungs?
Yeah.
Very scary.
Yeah. So, I mean, with untested technologies, new technologies, GMO, I don't even trust GMO.
Mm-mm.
I mean, they're putting frog DNA into green bell peppers so they don't get blight.
What?
That's true. But it's true. You know, I'm like, oh, wow. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, and do vegans know this?
I mean, and, you know, my granny had her own garden, and I remember everything they grew was so delicious and huge and amazing, and now everything's really small and no flavor, no taste to it. And it's, I think, due to these genetic modifications, as well as waxing our produce. I'm not sure, besides making it look pretty, what the purpose of that is, because they don't do it while it's growing, I don't think. I think they do it before they put it out, so it keeps it from going bad quicker.
So the wax, because they have to pick the stuff when it is not fully ripe. Mm-hmm. And then they put it in a truck. They hit it with an ethanol gas or an ethanol gas, right? And then they coat it in wax. That way the gas stays on your produce and it fully ripens by the time you buy it at the store.
Well, on that note, you guys, we've got to go to our second break. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology: Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and I want you to come on a nightly journey. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, every Monday through Friday, you can come hang out with me and the other space travelers. We have it all from Carl the Alien bouncing on by to those misfit gnomes causing havoc. It's 3 hours of fun and entertainment on those topics the mainstream really doesn't want to touch. Come get all paranormal with us at spacedoutradio.com, and together, my friends, along with our resident guitar god Bumblefoot, we own the night.
Sit back, relax, grab a drink, and listen closely. Spaced Out Radio continues through the weekend. From the mile-high mountains of Colorado to you, listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Weekend with Tessa Nicole Thomas.
Awesome. Thanks so much, you guys, for listening in tonight. Tonight we have Megan Gehring on, and before we go any further with our conspiracy theories and beyond, I just wanted to thank Mr. Ron Bumblefoot for allowing us to not only listen to but play his music. And Mr. Bumblefoot, if you send me your address, I will send you a thank you note. And Megan, welcome back to the show. It's been awesome having you on tonight.
Thank you. Yes. Minor technical difficulties with me.
Yeah, I've decided to call her back on Skype because on her phone, which we figured we'd have less difficulties using that, we've been cut off. Even on our break, talking about different conspiracies, we were cut off and could not hear each other. Or she could hear me, I could not hear her. So, weird.
It's just another day for me.
Right? And
and I've got really good phone service. Yeah,
and that's why I thought it was so weird, because you're like, man, my Wi-Fi is so iffy and on and off, and I'm like, well, the cell phone is not working either, so there's obviously somebody there that doesn't want you talking about certain things.
Right. Well, they know my Google history, too, so...
They know everything. They're watching you.
You're like, oh no, what is she going to talk about next? HAARP. We should talk about HAARP. Or whatever you want.
Let's harp on it.
Yeah, man. HAARP is interesting. I hope everybody knows what HAARP is. HAARP
well, if they don't,
is really awesome. Yeah, so it is. I don't know the exact definition because I don't have my paper in front of me, but it is a upper atmospheric high beam thingy. And basically, what it is, it was originally established for communications. It's the original station is up in Alaska, and what it does is it sub-communications, so from submarine to this HAARP station to naval centers all across the U.S. or the world, and vice versa. So everybody on the land or in the air can communicate with submarines, was the original intent. However, it utilizes Tesla technologies to harness free energy, amplify this energy, and shoot it way up into the ionosphere. And it bounces around on the outer atmosphere, and it can go anywhere in the world. And what it is it is a high radiation frequency. It is superheated, and it basically bubbles up the upper layer of the atmosphere and then can direct it. So a lot of geometry goes into this. There's a lot of patents. There's one super top secret patent that has never been released. That is for the actual pole that these arrays are on. It looks like a bunch of clotheslines, like the old school clotheslines. And it's like a mile wide. It's just sitting in the middle of Alaska, and there's some in very remote areas. There's one down in Brazil. The one in Brazil makes me question, because Brazil has been superheated all of a sudden, and all those dead fish washed up.
Yeah.
So kind of had to wonder about that. But there's so much to HAARP. And I'm sure somebody in the chat room has actually found the HAARP definition for it.
I actually looked it up, and you're basically right on. It's the High Frequency Activity Auroral Research Program, and it was initiated as an as you said, ionospheric. How do you say it again? I'm sorry. You said it so perfectly. Yes, ionospheric.
Ionospheric.
Ionospheric. Yeah. Research program jointly funded by the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Navy, the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, aka DARPA. It was designed and built by Bay Advanced Technologies, BAEAT. Its original purpose was to analyze the ionosphere and investigate the potential for developing ionospheric enhancement technology for radio communications and surveillance. As a university-owned facility, HAARP is a high-power, high-frequency transmitter used for study of the ionosphere. The most prominent instrument at HAARP is the Ionospheric Research Instrument, IRI, a high-power radio frequency transmitter facility operating in the high-frequency HF band. The IRI is used to temporarily excite a limited area of the ionosphere. Other instruments such as the VHF and the UHF radar, didn't we have video like that? Fluxgate magnometer, digenocide, an ionospheric sounding device, and an induction magnometer are used to study the physical process that occur in the excited region. Work on the HAARP facility began in 1993. The current working IRI was completed in 2007. Its prime contractor was Bay Systems Advanced Technology. As of 2008, HAARP had incurred about $250 million in tax-funded construction and operating costs. How nice for them. In May 2014, it was announced that HAARP program would be permanently shut down later in the year. After discussions between the parties, ownership of the facility and its equipment was transferred to the University of Alaska Fairbanks in August of 2015. HAARP is a target of conspiracy theorists who claim that it is capable of weaponizing weather. Commentors and scientists say that advocates of this theory are uninformed and claims are unfounded. But I mean, look at our freaking environment. Okay, if global warming and global cooling isn't happening, it's got to be HAARP.
Exactly. And then you have targeted HAARP fires, basically. And HAARP goes more than just the system in Alaska. And actually, bear with me because the road is going to get very bumpy. I was doing some research on President Ronald Reagan's Star Wars program, the SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative. Believe it or not, the SDI system actually works hand in hand with HAARP. And with these new satellites that Elon Musk and SpaceX are launching, the Iridium 8s and the Iridium Next, or the Iridium NEXTs, they all link to HAARP. They can communicate with HAARP. And I found it very interesting because one of the things that is involved with this is something called Project Sleeping Beauty, which is having sorry, my kid just walked in.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah,
I feel you completely. I have 4 of them.
But it's like a bioresonance, right? So they will put these magnetized flecks in the air, okay? And you could actually get a biometric reading off of your soldiers that are in the field. You can tell when they're fatigued. You could tell if they're having anxieties. It's very interesting. That's specifically with the Project Sleeping Beauty. But basically, and they've tested these on assets, which are world leaders, right? So they have actually taken these systems and they have put them with these high political assets, and they have tested out their biometrics and basically have gotten accurate biometric readings through the HAARP system in accordance with the satellite. So basically your target, the president's across the Atlantic Ocean, they want to check his biorhythms and make sure his heart's still breathing and beating and he's still breathing and everything's good. So they will ping that from the HAARP land system, get the satellite read to the asset, and then it relays it back. It triangulates and you have your report. So it's a little bit crazy, but I'm learning more as these new technologies are coming out because I was really into reading about what the SpaceX is doing with this new set of communication satellites, and beings that they are orbitally locked. They're not a orbiting satellite. They're called geo-orbital locks, and they just kind of hover. They're stationary, pretty much. So I was curious as to why that is, and it's for better triangulation. But as far as HAARP goes, it is not only weather manipulation, it's communications. And, they've expanded the HAARP system. I believe it is not dead or retired. So, and if you get on to Google Earth, you could actually look. There's a handful of HAARP sites across the world, and there's one near CERN. There is one in Australia. There's one in Japan. There's one down in Brazil. I don't think there's one in Antarctica, but you can look them up, and they are very, very distinguished on the landscape. And like I said, they kind of look like a power grid, power station, or like a big bunch of old-fashioned laundry lines.
Well, yeah, and it's like, can't you come up with something better, or maybe some underground technology, like dog fences? You can bury it underground so they don't see it or trip over it. Like, if they did that, we wouldn't even see it. We wouldn't even question what was going on. We'd just be like, oh, okay, there must be something going on here. That's natural. But when you stop and think about it, when HAARP came out, when I was reading that, the year that it came out, have you noticed that from that date on, our weather has been really, really crazy?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it has. And I've also came across articles and some other research that basically ties all of the systems together. So you've got MK Ultra, okay? You've got the chemtrail project,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got the satellite project and this whole, Star Wars thing, which supposedly it never took off. However, every Republican president, including President Trump, has had a very huge interest in having some kind of space force or space program that supersedes and becomes a military status. Okay, with the Bushes, it was the Missile Defense Shield. That was essentially the same thing as the Strategic Defense Initiative, which is also dubbed Star Wars. So they took
Mr. Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, they took Reagan's plan, and the Republican presidents have actually carried it on, and never once was it voted down by a Democrat. Okay, Obama funded it. There was earmarks for him funding it. The money just kind of went into a pot, and that's what it was used for. And it's like, what? But yeah, it's very interesting because we're talking. There's Tesla technology up in space right now. They've got particle beam lasers that can destroy an incoming ship or an asteroid. So and it all works with HAARP. The weird thing.
You saying that really pisses me off because I'm like, okay, so they can use Tesla technology in outer space because it benefits them, but they're not going to use it on Earth because it benefits us. They'd rather be picking our pockets and keep us under control due to harsh work environments and having to pay the man and, pay all these bills, so on and so forth. Had they let us use Tesla technology here on Earth, I'd be in a much better place right now, but let's use it in space because it helps us, the government, to get what we need done, but F the little man, forget about it. What the crack is really going on here? Now I'm irritated.
Yeah. Well, right. Well, no, for good reason, because, really, so JP Morgan Chase would never have funding from Tesla, right? Because he didn't see the value in the profit. He didn't see the return. So he pulled his funding from Tesla and decided to support Edison so he could make a bunch of money off these crazy expensive light bulbs that you had to replace every 40 days.
Well, yeah, they were in for raping and pillaging all of us, civilians, while they make all the money.
Yes. Well, we would have had Wi-Fi. Legit Wi-Fi in 1920 if we would have went with Tessa's technology. And I mean, how advanced would we have been? Wi-Fi in the 20s? Are you kidding me?
Well, I mean,
forget flapper dresses. We got Wi-Fi.
I really need one of those. But that being said, yeah, we could have come so far, and there was a really great advancement in our technology and our coming into ourselves. But then they muted it, like you were saying. These people and the government together, because they're all about making money and keeping us under control. What better way to keep us under control than to bill us, make us pay money, make us work every day of our lives and not pay attention to the environment around us, including our families. Had Tesla done it, we'd be a so much happier civilization and, lower death rates, so on and so forth. But it's all about the almighty dollar and Uncle Sam keeping us down and so many different things along that line. Like, we are not free. As much as we would like to think we are, we're really not.
Yeah, well,
it's just
and
an illusion.
That is where, that's where you get into the agendas. So,
and we were going to get there.
The agendas are, I mean, we're falling right in line with them, honestly. Whether we want to or not. But, HAARP is a very interesting technological development. And, if it was just used for communications, that might be all right. But still, we're superheating our own atmosphere in a very direct way. And so you're causing a superheated blast to go up into the atmosphere, at the push of a button. People have reported different aura, like when you get the aurora borealis, the aurora changes. So, the colors will change on that. And then there was something called Steve that was newly discovered. And basically Steve is a backronym because they named it after what they wanted it to be, and they came up with Steve. But anyway, Steve is a superheated electron vector energy pulse kind of thing. So let me Google what Steve is, because Steve is very interesting too, and they believe it is actually caused by HAARP firings. So if you Google Steve, the aurora, you come up with, okay, there we go. Of course, my internet is very slow.
Well, I was going to say, while we were waiting for that to pull up, I even saw the aurora borealis here in the Four Corners area of Colorado. So that's the southwestern corner of Colorado. And we're coming home one night, and it was pretty late, and all of a sudden I'm like, what is that? Is there a fire going on behind that mountain? Because we've had an epidemic of fires here due to drought, so on and so forth. Hopefully this year it won't be a problem. But I'm like, there's a fire back there because I see these red streaks going off in the sky, but at the same time, I don't see the smoke coming off the red streaks. And my husband was like, hey, that's aurora borealis all the way down here. I'm like, are you freaking serious? Like, I've never seen it. I've always wanted to, and that's just a little kind of tease portion of aurora borealis, but it's amazing that it reached all the way down here in the southwestern United States, which I've never really heard of. So that was pretty interesting and intriguing to me. Like, how did that happen? And that was the only time I'd ever seen it as well. So that was about two years ago, I would say.
Okay. Wow. No, I've seen them a couple times here, and it looks like almost a green spotlight coming from the backside of the mountain. But they're always green for me, so I don't know if that's my elevation. But, I mean, I'm a little closer to Canada, so for you to be in Colorado and see them, that is amazing.
Yeah, southwestern Colorado, to say the least. Like, that's very low. Not only for the northern lights, but the southern lights. Like, this is kind of near the meridian of the earth. And a friend of mine shared an article the other day that was talking about magnetism in our skies. And the picture that I saw of that was around sunset. And it's kind of like a lot of sunset pictures I've seen, but the colors were more red in the sky and these streaks going upwards, and that's what I saw. They weren't going across horizontally, they were going upwards, and I'm thinking maybe that was it, and it wasn't actually solar flares or, southern lights or northern lights or whatever.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, that's interesting. I'll have to look into southern lights, because I thought that was more like Antarctica and like the south tip, like Argentina and Chile. And
yeah, and my point with that is there's northern and there's southern, and I'm right kind of in the middle. So how could either one reach me? Is it really, solar flares, or is it more magnetic stuff happening in the atmosphere?
Like a disruption.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was northward looking, so around Colorado Springs, other places where there are airfields and such.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so I've got Steve pulled up. So Steve the Aurora actually stands for Strong Thermal Emission Velocity Enhancement. And they think this is a natural phenomena, but I believe that it is directly related to HAARP. All of the photos show this twirly ribbon shooting straight up into the sky. And it is a very distinct purple color, which I found interesting. So it's a purple ribbon with green on the outsides. But yeah, and then it typically has a reddish arc to it as well. So, and it has recently been seen, first sighting was 2014. So that's why it drew my attention, is because this is a new phenomena. So I kind of found that very intriguing for it to be a new phenomena. Oh, did I lose you? Hello?
Sorry, I muted my mic.
Oh.
I had gotten complaints about my keyboard, so I muted my mic because I heard you breaking up, and I was thinking maybe my sound's coming through on her speaker and breaking up her talking, so maybe I'll mute my mic and see if that helped, which it did a little bit, but not perfectly.
Oh.
But, yeah, it's very interesting, like I was saying, we're not only trying to catch up on old and present technologies that are around us that we're not made privy to, there's new and more advanced ones. We're always going to be behind the ball, basically, trying to figure this stuff out, but as long as we keep an open mind and can see the area around us, pay attention, have common sense, and not listen to all the flocks of sheeple, and whoever else wants to mind control you. Make your own decisions and see what's going on around you. Use your common sense and your gut instinct, because ish is going crazy, I must say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's really interesting. And I mean, do I have proof that there's this magnetic glitter in the sky? No, I don't. Right. So with HAARP and the chemtrails, I do not have proof that there's this magnetic glitter that is following me around that can land on me and get my DNA and report back to the government that, my heart's beating and that I'm exactly at this longitude and this latitude and, I'm cold. My biorhythms indicate that, I'm 2 degrees cooler than I should be. I don't have that proof. However, the potential is there. And it's one step away from actually getting microchipped. So, and then with how I am, I've read the agendas, I understand the agendas, and that is pretty much the direction where they're going. And how do you really explain high amounts of barium salt and aluminum on uninhabited islands in the middle of the Pacific? they're saying that that's a side effect from all these chemtrails. So, and they have to pump the atmosphere with these barium salts and aluminum in order to make HAARP do its designed job.
Yeah, otherwise they can't magnetize the atmosphere and do what they need to do with it. Even though we do have electricity and magnetism out there, they have to enhance and boost it so, like you said, they can control it. And it's just freaking ridiculous.
Yes. Yes, and I do understand that the Air Force, as well as NASA, both came out in the last 5 years. The Air Force came out about 5 years ago. NASA just came out this last year and said the reason that they spray these chemtrails is so that they could fly a different plane through the chemtrails and basically take a photo of the jet stream. That is their explanation on why they do this. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's
jet
funny
stream.
because people are like, oh, those are just jet streams. And I'm like, okay, since I was the age of 5, about 6, after my mom passed away, and I became obsessed with the sky because I thought my mom was up there in heaven. And so I'm always looking up to the sky, talking to my mom, seeing these beautiful sunrises, beautiful sunsets, because, there was very little sleep going on. But she always painted that for me. Anywho's, chemtrails. Okay, I always notice jets in the sky. They do have this little trail that goes behind them, but it dissipates quickly as the jet passes by. These jets that are dropping chemtrails, they're not dissipating. They're staying there, and they're growing wider and wider and outwards, and they're generally in the shape of an X. I don't know how many pictures of chemtrails where they're X upon X upon X, like there's multiple X's in the sky, or one big one, or whatever, and I'm not talking pornography, XXX, I'm talking freaking, raping the planet,
Grids.
XXX.
Grids.
Yeah.
Grids.
Yeah, and it's insane, and people are like, oh no, those are just jets, and I'm like, do you not know how this works? Like, jets dissipate even winter, summer, fall. It's the same thing. It dissipates shortly after, and sometimes the trail is a little longer, but it doesn't stay there for hours or all day,
Yeah.
This is something different.
No, I had a really weird one the other day. The jet did a circle, or half circle, right? I was watching it, and the circle poofed up into a rope of clouds, right? And then it was going, and I started realizing that it was erasing clouds as it went through them. So for some reason, I had a cloud erasing chemtrail. And I took photos of it and everything, and I could not believe it. And of course, I sent it to my friend who does not. She thinks I'm nuts, right? So I sent her this. I was like, okay, explain this. And she was like, that is creepy. Because, I had the timestamps and everything, and within 5 minutes, this huge, bigger than a football field, cloud just disintegrated within minutes after that rope of clouds that the jet made went through it.
Well, something on top of that that's really funny, I've seen videos online, and people are like, quit watching YouTube, quit watching that, but if you catch it, brand new, before it gets erased or banned by the government or whoever, there have been aircraft, could be UFOs, could be unidentified aerial phenomenon. Anyways, they're out there and they're erasing the chemtrails. And it can start from the middle out or wherever it starts. You see this little spot out there, and it's basically disintegrating the chemtrail because it's trying to work against what we are doing to ourselves. Not personally, but as a government over us, doing to ourselves.
Yes. Actually, the Pleiadians have anti-chemtrail technology. Believe it or not.
So now I know it's the Pleiadians, and they're out there, and I've seen the craft in these videos, and you could see it disintegrating this chemtrail, and I'm like, that is freaking amazing. Something's actually going behind and cleaning up after these idiots. So now I know who it is, the Pleiadians. Thank you very much.
Yes. No, me and my astral buddy, we were standing outside. We were watching the same patch of chemtrails go across them, and then all of a sudden we saw a sky friend shoot by, and it broke apart the chemtrail. So I asked, and yes, it is Pleiadians who do that. So, and yes, they're very not happy. They're very not happy with the chemtrails because they are pro-Earth and they do not want us to harm Earth. So essentially, they feel that the chemtrails are.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, interesting, intriguing, and downright creepy, if you ask me.
Definitely.
Yeah, this world is a scary place, and I try to be as honest with my kids as possible. I don't want them to be surprised or, why did you lie to me, or whatever. Like, anything that I can give them knowledge of and train them in, I'm going to do, so they can live on and make me immortal. You know what I mean? Spread the seed, spread the genetic genes. But it's just weird, like all this stuff that we're doing to ourselves. And like I said, it's not us as a mass, it's like the hierarchies doing this to us because they think they're doing good things. But all this aluminum, and there's also diamond dust and other things that they put out there to try to help our outer environment, our ozone layer, rebuild itself. At the same time, we're poisoning ourselves with dementia and Alzheimer's and all these other things that there's no way for our bodies to fight because we can't process aluminum. We can't process these different metals that are being put into our bodies due to our environments, not only from eating from cans, but now from the air that we breathe or the water that we use on our bodies from stuff that has fallen out. Like, it's just crazy. How do you win?
Yeah. Don't wear deodorant. No. Sorry, deodorant has aluminum in it too.
Yeah.
No, yeah, natural deodorant, so that's good. But no, we're overexposed for sure.
Okay, so Bougie was saying, okay, he's got something going on here. Does guest know anything about this? Someone I know went on a high school field trip to an ice skating rink in Vancouver, BC, back in the 70s. Upon arrival, a small group of them broke away from the rest. The teacher was freaking out the entire time because nobody could figure out where these girls went. Long story short, the group did return to the rink, but now it seemed they'd all been hypnotized to think they were cats. The explanation given was that 2 guys showed up and offered these girls LSD, found it probably had something to do with the MK Ultra whole mind control thing. Have you heard anything about that? I have never heard that, but I'm not from the BC area.
Yeah, interesting. So I have not heard about that incident, but what is really weird is there in that time frame between the 70s and the early 90s, they were doing this special selection group of gifted students. Okay. And actually, I have talked to somebody that was handpicked for this group, and it was something called like the Mental Olympics or something like that. But anyway, she went on very strange field trips. They really didn't learn anything different than regular schooling. It was just they were treated differently. And her mother was actually a lobbyist. And so this is where my mind goes with this, is because she was of an elite status type thing. She was hand selected to be in this program. And she even finds it weird because she has memory blocks from the time when she was conducting, in this program. And she's actually been very freaked out by this. And I have listened to her and I've tried to help unblock her. But no matter what I try, I cannot help her with the memory blocks. But it was a nationwide program, and it was conducted in the late 70s to the early 90s. That is like all I know. And basically it was supposed to encourage children with special gifts. Mind you, these were hand-selected students, and they would go on like different field trips, and it was weird because she would remember the field trip, but not exactly how she got there or what happened after the field trip.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes down to it, LSD and heroin were definitely used in mind control programs, and I know that MK Ultra really did focus on children.
Well, Bougie is saying here, backstory, Misha Johnston was on a couple months back she has a show on KCOR and spoke about beta, theta, and delta programming. The betas are the sex kittens, often trained to assume a cat or cat-like after personality. So she kind of made a breakthrough with maybe some regression or whatnot with a hypnotist.
Okay.
But it is possible for people to get through these walls after a certain amount of trying to get into them through hypnotic or other realms. But otherwise, you can know that there's something wrong, there's something missing, there's something there, but you can't quite put your finger on it until you start really digging.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a very far-reaching program. And, I am not surprised. And yes, there's many levels because everybody was subject to testing, had a purpose. Even the purposes had different levels. I mean, that's how they were trying to come up with military-grade remote viewing, even. So, that was a side product of this. So it would not surprise me. And I mean, look at everything that has happened in the political realm with the Pizzagate, and allegations against Tessa and Clinton and, the sex ring. And then you look at the Illuminati and Satanism, which all has ties to the political realm of the elites. And it gets very deep into sexual child abuse. I think I said that backwards, but... Hello?
I'm sorry. No, I understood exactly what you were saying. I'm sorry, I muted my mic again. Trying not to get the tap going on. But kids are out there that are strong and gifted, and the government knows about it. There's this testing that's done on our kids as babies, and they know everything about our children, our offspring, genetic and otherwise. And I think certain things happen due to breaking that person down, making them weaker, because that's all they need is a strong individual to go out there and start a whole, campaign against the government or other things going on. And they know different ways to do that. That's why it's so important for us to not trust people and be especially protective of our offspring.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, there's so many things out there, and you'd think they want us to adapt and overcome and become stronger beings, but they're really trying to dumb us down.
Yes, absolutely. Well, they want to rob us of individualism, and free thinking is what it is. They do not want free thinkers, and that is actually stated in Agenda 21. Because the free thinkers are the dangerous ones. Because they are going to have the radical ideas on how to change things and how to make things better, and they will be able to motivate people to get behind them, and then protest. And they actually do not want anyone to protest.
Well, yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Who likes their kids arguing with them? I hate that. I'm like, just, no. I'm not going to do this. I'm not arguing with you.
Say it like that.
Yeah. This is not a debate. Go back and watch your cartoons or color or do your homework, whatever you're doing. This is not a debate. And I'm not going to relent on this. And that's kind of like us with our government. Kind of like a parent with their kid. And they're like, no, this ain't happening. How dare you argue with me? That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is a very, very valid explanation.
So, was that Agenda 21? Is that what we were talking about? Or
we're kind of hopscotching between Tesla Technologies, HAARP, and then the mind control again. The mind control is everywhere. Just saying.
MK Ultra.
That's why it keeps coming up. Keeps coming up.
Yeah, I know, it's hard because it's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is woven and it has been in places for such a long time. I mean, it's been an implementation. So, it's the length of the program is what just really gets me. And then you look at how society has changed. And like saying, the FCC apparently just allows, free flow of cuss words all the time. I mean, it's desensitization, and, you're starting to chip away at, moral fabric or, respect even. Because kids see that and they think it's totally okay. Hey, mom, and a couple cuss words, and it's like, excuse you? I don't dare grab the soap anymore. Be child abuse.
Well, I blame my nephew for my daughter's
Maybe not
for
that
me.
extreme.
But it's funny when you said that. I'm like, wow, I cussed like a sailor back in the late 80s, and I still do. So I'm not seeing a change for me. But as far as kids these days, which from the beginning of time that's been a topic, kids these days. But it's true, the lack and dissent and respect, but our government has a lot to do with that. We're not allowed to spank our kids anymore or discipline them. And I do understand that as far as the aspect of abuse. But as a kid, there's times when I was spanked that I didn't receive it as abuse, and there was times that I did receive it as abuse. So there is a, here and there, a few and far between as far as discipline goes, but the government taking that away from us, spare the rod, you spoil the child. There's a reason for certain disciplines, and our kids are like, I was blown back in the day when I'd hear kids talking to their moms like, F you, mom, and this blah, 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 and yada, yada, and all these other words I can't say on the air. But total lack of respect, like you're saying, and I'm like, man, had I said that to my mom, I'd be smacked back into last century. When it comes to my kids, I've had a certain amount of respect from them until this last year when my nephew moved in, and then my daughter kind of went with more what he cares about than what is going on in our family, and the lack of dissent has been really insane. She's 15 at this point, and I'm not supposed to share certain topics, but I do finally see it in my life. Even though I raised my child a certain way, here it is, all of a sudden, this lack of respect, and my daughter telling me F you and B word and all these other things that I never expected to come out of my daughter's mouth. I'm like, wow. This is not my daughter. Who is this? Like, I gotta check for pods now. It's insane.
Yeah, no, it's, I've noticed it. I mean, I'll be out in town and hear somebody else's kid say something snide to his parents or something. And I'm like, really? And my daughter, oh man, she could cop an attitude, but, she, I don't know, having two Marines as mom and dad, I think she knows better.
Well, I am happy for you for that, because at least they understand this is the Marine Corps way of life. For my family, I'm like the bad guy because I was or am the Marine, and I have a certain way of discipline. Even before I was a Marine, I was raised with a certain amount of, respect and respecting your elders, so on and so forth, and this is your place in life, and it's for a reason. We're training our kids to be adults, to be functional adults in their own house, and for the different things we're having them try to do in our house is for a reason, to be functional adults, because you can't, not everybody can hire a maid to clean their house. I know I can't. So they need to learn chores, responsibility, and responsibility for things they do in their life. They need to be able to grasp that and admit it and take responsibility for it. And there's not a lot of that out there. It's all denial and disrespect and trying to get the upper leg when, how do you get that unless you have a sense of responsibility for your actions and things that go along with that? I don't understand the whole frame of mind. I'm just like, I'm in the wrong world at this moment.
Yeah. Oh, it has really changed, for sure. And, I'm not positive that, it is because that's how society wanted the shift to go. I really don't know how much influence, because, The Agenda 20 was established back in 1992. So that's when they started implementing a bunch of processes. Now, both of the agendas, Agenda 21 as well as Agenda 30, can be found online at un.org. These are two publications published by the United Nations. So with that, you can read them. They're very cut and dry, but they're titled. And it's all about depopulation and steps to depopulate. I'm shocked when I actually learned about the agendas. Agenda 30 just recently came back out, not back out, it came out back in 2016. It started being authored in 2014 because they needed a more direct way to obtain what they wanted to in Agenda 20. So they started to realize that in 6 years they're not going to hit their Agenda 20. So they started fabricating. I think fabricating is a close enough word, but they started fabricating Agenda 30. And basically it is very mundane steps with how the United Nations is going to come together as a whole to reduce Tessa.
Reduce this shenanigans.
Reduce world population.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. No, and we are totally overpopulated, and I could see that happening. And what better way to tear us apart than separate the family? We're strong as a whole, and separated we're not. And what better way to make all this stuff start happening? It's hard to wrap your mind around it because it's not the norm, but I can see the reason for it.
Yeah. And no, they will separate families. They will separate classes. There will only be two classes. You will have the elites, and you will have the government-supported class. And they really do want to make an effort to have, it's the sustained class. And basically, they are going to give them, the supported class will be provided food, an annual salary, and universal income is actually what they're calling it. But food will be like genetically modified lab-grown food because we will no longer be able to support animal harvesting.
Well, yeah, we can't grow stuff on our own. They've made it to where the seeds that come in the plants or vegetables and such that we buy these days, even if we harvest the seeds from the vegetables and fruits and stuff that we buy and try to put them in the ground, they won't grow because they've made it that way. We can't be self-sustaining or anything like that anymore because that takes away their power. They have to be the ones to be able to feed us, and they don't want us to be able to feed ourselves anymore, even though the majority doesn't do that. There's farmers and people like that out there that do, and
well,
it's just...
you know that this is going to be a really interesting year, right? Because the whole food belt of America, the Midwest, is totally flooded. And the crops are so damaged and the ground is so damaged that either the food prices are going to quadruple of food. And we export a lot of our food. So who the heck are we going to import it from? And you cannot grow your own garden anymore because if you do reseed with a patented seed and you didn't buy it, trust me, you're going to have people knocking on your door saying that you are infringing on a copyright.
That's
it
ridiculous.
happened in a farmer's field. In Oregon, he was growing patented corn. It was like 12 corn stalks in this whole field because the seeds blew in. And they actually sued him for his land. And that was compliments of Monsanto.
Well, Monsanto,
and
thank you very much.
About 6 years ago.
and they're trying to teach all the other farmers a lesson. You know, you better do it this way, or look what's going to happen. You're going to lose your property, your livelihood, everything you've ever known from the beginning of your time, gone. So you better follow the rules, or else this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Well, we have about, let's say 3 minutes left. Jason was asking, what does Megan know about the patents relating to HAARP and chemtrails? Do you know anything about that?
Okay, so Jason actually sent me some really interesting information. I did research some patents, and basically there was one of them that is classified. Secret, top secret, whatever. They have not released it. It is owned by the Navy and Air Force. So that one, you can have the number, and it's a 4665 number, if I remember correctly. It's I had it wrote down somewhere, but I remember it's 4665 something, but that is the classified patent. The other ones are for the arrays. There is even a mix of the aluminum and barium salt compound, as well as the sprayer components within the planes that actually spray chemtrails. So even the on and off handles are patented. And so, there's lists that run miles long that have all these components patented, and you can look them up through the U.S. Patent Office. And I've actually gotten some photos of chemtrail spraying jets and referenced the patent number off there, if that makes sense. On one of the websites like 4chan, there was internal components that somebody had taken a picture of saying inside a chemtrail sprayer jet. And I actually took the patent numbers off some of the visible patent numbers, and I ran them through the U.S. Patent Office, and yes, they do come back to a biological spraying unit.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I'm reading all these different things from people, and they're putting, Mooney. Here, let me scroll back here just a minute. The almighty dollar, the wonderful quarter, the strong quarter, the beastly nickel, the wildly wonderful dime. He was also saying MK Ultra, chemtrail, Star Wars, 10,000 points of light, elf extremely low frequency, particle beams, lasers, HAARP, synergy. There's so many freaking crazy and amazing things going on in our lives and our environment that we don't even have the foggiest clue is going on, and we probably won't for many, 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 many years. That being said, that was a freaking mouthful. We're at the end of our time. We actually have T-minus 20 seconds and counting. Would you like to kind of reel in the seam and give us a end on this wonderful discussion we've had this evening?
Well, the information is out there. The truth, however, is still to be determined. Conspiracy theories are very interesting. Take it and run with it if it's appealing to you. I consider myself a hobbyist. I know a little about a lot. So, if something does appeal to you, go for it. I always am up for a chat about anything conspiracy or paranormal.
That's awesome. Can you tell our listeners where and how to find you if they have any questions for you or want to discuss anything with you?
Yeah, sure. You guys can always hit me up on Facebook. I do try to frequent SOR Spreaker chat. So if I'm in there, my name is Megan. I have a marine photo of myself. Or I do have a paranormal group along with my friend Sarah Camp. It is called Astral Made Services. You can Google that on the search bar on Facebook. Astral Made Services. So, and you could always join our group. We post a lot of fun stuff. Other than that, we just love to chat. So, thank you.
And you ladies guys are amazing, and thank you so much for the work that you do for your fellow man. And thank you so much for being my guest this evening, Megan. It was so wonderful having you on the show this evening, and I hope to do it again in the near future.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me as always.
And I just wanted to say thank you out there to everyone in Facebook, Spaced Out Radio, Facebook, Spreaker, Twitter, Paranormal Radio, TalkStream Live, Deep Talk Radio, and wherever else in the universe you're listening tonight. I had a wonderful time this evening, and it was my pleasure, literally and figuratively, and I can't wait to do it again tomorrow night on Psychic Sundays with Psychic Chris Garcia, another one of my favorites that I like to bring back time after time. And you can find that all on spacedoutradio.com. Make sure you make a Spreaker account so you can come into the chat room and hang out with some awesome, like-minded people. Until next time, nighty-night, love and light to all my space cases out there. I had a wonderful time with you guys this Saturday, now Sunday, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow night. Don't forget, you guys, we are all in this together. Together we can make the world a little better, and together, my friends, we own the night. SpacedOutRadio.com. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store where you can find your hoodies, your hats, your towels, your socks. Dress yourself up, SOR from head to toe. If you'd like to come into the SOR Asylum After Party, the number is 970-335-9596.